want a second look.
Yeah, there's something about this one, isn't there? Familiar somehow.
We think we're stuck in a specific fragment in time, and we've been repeating that same fragment over and over again.
But the flirting's over, Sherlock. Daddy's had enough now.
Hello and welcome to You've Seen It Before, TV reviews with connections in mind. Star Trek Discovery Season 4 has now dropped all of its episodes on Paramount+. This season falls on right after the last, where the Federation is slowly reuniting after having been separated because of the events of the burn. Planets are coming back into the fold of Federation membership slowly but surely. Starfleet Academy is being relaunched. It seems that things are getting back on track for the Federation. However, a devastating anomaly comes out of nowhere and starts wreaking untold havoc upon these worlds, including some that hit very close to home. No one knows exactly where this anomaly came from, but it's up to the crew of Discovery to figure out where it came from, and more importantly, to shut it down before it wreaks any more destruction upon these worlds. Now, this video review will contain spoilers of Season 4 of Star Trek Discovery. I'll try to keep my spoiler-free thoughts up front and before I give my full review of the season, but then I'll do my spoiler thoughts after that. But just so you know, there will be some spoiler talk during after my letter rating has been done. I'll give fair warning for that. But first things first, let's get into the spoiler-free thoughts on Star Trek Discovery Season 4 as a whole. Is it a good season of Star Trek Discovery? Where does it rank as far as seasons go? Is it just any good overall? I would say this is definitely a pretty decent season of Discovery. I would say, as far as seasons go, I mean, with these sort of serial storytellings, I like the fact that this season had a lot more self-contained episodes. I would say it did a fairly good job of that. While it did have that overarching narrative, there were actually, some self-contained narratives within this, and I really appreciated that. I liked the fact that this could have self-contained stories while building on an overarching narrative, and I think this was a pretty decent episode overall. I like the fact that, there is this mystery set up as to, where did this anomaly come from and who's causing it, and is it natural or is it artificial? As far as the mystery goes, the payoff actually is worth it, I think, at the end. It is not a disappointing payoff. I think a lot of this makes it a little bit better than Season 3 from that perspective, where I think the payoff from that season's mystery was a little bit of a letdown. And while they do acknowledge that in this season, they don't really dwell on it. This season also focuses a lot on character growth. I think this focuses a lot on, the struggles of mental health as well. I think that was influenced a lot by the events of the last couple of years. That bleeds into how this series, this season progressed. Focusing on different characters, how they're reacting to, trauma, to real life catastrophe at that point. And I think this does a really good job of this. I think this season also does a really good job of, just getting back to the basics of Star Trek, I think. Exploration, discovery, facing the unknown, and figuring out, hey, we don't know all the answers, let's try to find out more. And I think that's when, pure Star Trek at that point, I think this does a really good job of that. I think praise should especially be given to the dynamic between Captain Burnham now and Cleveland Booker, and they're not giving away spoilers at this point, but their relationship changes a little bit, and they're put under a incredible different strain. And the hard part about this is, both sides have good points at this. Their viewpoints are obviously influenced by their different perspectives, but they're both understandable perspectives. You see both sides of where they're coming from, and that's what makes the conflict between them, so compelling. And I like that this was explored very well throughout this season. I feel like it wraps up a little bit lamely, I think, as far as how the conflict resolves. But overall, I would say, yeah, that works out quite well. I think there's another positive to be given here with there's a great episode with Mary Wiseman's character, Tilly, who she is tasked with overseeing some cadets from the newly founded Starfleet Academy. I think that's probably one of the best episodes of this season. As far overall, I think it's a great standalone episode. I think it's a good character growth development, and it doesn't bog down the greater narrative. And I think that's a mark of a great episode in general. What I think where I think this season kind of falls short a little bit is definitely near the end, where it's trying to tie up everything in kind of a neat bow, and some storylines that works out well, and other storylines I think it feels a little bit rushed. Like some details I think get a little bit, pushed to the side because, all right, we're trying to wrap things up here, let's go. And that becomes a little bit more obvious in the last two, the last two episodes, I'd say. Really, there's only one episode that can be realistically considered filler, I think, in this season. I think overall, this is a really strong season. I think it's not quite as good as season 3, I think, in my opinion, of Discovery, but overall, I think this is a pretty solid season, and I highly recommend it. I would say if I was going to give Star Trek Discovery Season 4 a letter grade, I would say this is probably a solid A. Not an A+, there's definitely some issues, but an A overall. I'd say this is a pretty decent season, and it doesn't leave us with a nice big, I would say the season finale, without giving anything away, it wraps things up, and it leaves us things open-ended as to where things are going to go from here. Kind of like how season 3 ended, where, all right, the possibilities are limitless at this point. So I'll be curious to see where they take things with season 5 and beyond. So those are my spoiler-free thoughts on Star Trek Discovery Season 4. Now let's get into some spoiler thoughts as certain plot developments and character arcs that may seem familiar to you and where you may have seen them before. Now, I'm probably going to be touching on, I'm not going to be touching on, the nitty-gritty of every single episode. If you want more of that, you can check out my spoiler reactions to each and every episode as the season progressed. But so overall thoughts on this episode, on the season, really, this did have a bit of a feel of season 3 of Star Trek Enterprise, the Xindi arc. A lot of parallels to be made there. I think looking back, you kind of start the parallel with the dedication of the Archer space dock. There was a lot more embrace of Enterprise love with this season, and the Enterprise's its 20th anniversary last year and this year, so now we're starting to feel like, all right, we're getting a reappraisal, seeing the good from where it was there, and some appreciation for that. And I really think it really shows in this season. Like, season 3 of Enterprise was probably one of the was probably its best season. There's some debate out there as to between 3 and 4 as to whether those were the best seasons, but for me, season 3 was the best. I think it shows here because that you have a definite sense of, all right, we have an unknown enemy that has attacked us at the Federation at its very core. Booker has that intense loss with his home planet Quajon being destroyed, his family being killed. He's got a very personal motive to seek seek vengeance for one, but also acting so that it doesn't hurt anyone else's family in other planets. And trying to learn more about the species behind the DMA. There's just there's that parallel there, and I think there's certainly that you can see that throughout the season. Also, I've touched on it in my reaction to episode I believe 11 or 12. The parallel to Arrival when we finally meet Species Tendency, and like I said in that reaction, Arrival It's a really good movie as far as depicting, an alien species that's so alien with their communication that it's a challenge to communicate with them properly and interpret what exactly it is they're saying and speak it back to them. I love that parallel. I think if you're going to steal / take inspiration from some of the best, and Arrival is definitely one of that. And I think the one overall, a thematic parallel, I'd say, that I can only notice now looking back. There's this theme of continuing dialogue, even in the face of pain, even in the face of violence, even in the face of not everyone on your side really necessarily wants peace or understanding. It made me think of the Star Trek Next Generation episode from season 2, I believe, called Loud as a Whisper, where Riva is is a great negotiator for peace. He happens to be deaf, and he has these interpreters that work with him that speak from certain emotions and perspectives, depending on what his context is. But then when one person on the one side of this conflict kills his interpreters, then the challenge then is, well, how can I achieve peace with this disadvantage at this point? Then there's the knowledge of turn disadvantage into an advantage. Then build the dialogue on that. I think there's a lot of parallels with that theme in this season. You can just pluck out various examples. Like we got what are our core ideals at this point as the Federation? Do we proceed from a position of fear? Do we proceed from a position of wanting to understand more? And I think that theme expresses itself quite well in this season. So, those are my main points overall for this season of points of comparison. Again, you could look back at my reaction episodes to see the comparisons to be made in each individual episode. But what did you think of Star Trek Discovery Season 4 as a whole? Did you like it? Did you not like it? What about my analysis? Do you agree, disagree? Did I miss anything? I probably missed something. Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate whatever audience I can get. I'm sure to look for my next movie review, which will be for Morbius, which comes out this week on April 1st, as well as my next TV review, which will be for the entirety of Season 2 of Star Trek Picard. I believe we're about halfway through this current season, so be sure to look for that coming up soon. If you liked this video or any other video on my channel, please give me a like, share, and especially subscribe. I'd very much appreciate it. Again, thank you so much for watching, but just remember, there is nothing new under the sun, and yes, you have seen it before.